DNA, the molecule of life. In this learning intention, we're going to understand that DNA structure was discovered using new technologies, modeling, and collaboration. Before we get to that, we need to understand some terminology. So in this video, we're going to concentrate on defining DNA, gene, and chromosome. So what is DNA? Well, DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid, which is DNA, is the molecule that holds the genetic code of living things. It's found in the nucleus of the cell and provides instructions to your cells on how to make proteins and other important molecules, but proteins are what code for different features in a cell. So DNA is made of two chains of nucleotides which are bonded together. You can see that in this spinning image. Nucleotides are different colours, and the chains themselves form a sugar phosphate backbone, and sticking out from that into the middle are the bases. So you've got two chains of these nucleotides held together or bonded, where each nucleotide has a specific pair. So you can see here the base pairs A's and T's always match, and C's and G's always match, forming base pairs in the middle of the chains that are twisting around each other. So this twisting is called a double helix, and that's what DNA's shape is made up of. So what are genes? Well, genes are actually sections of DNA, and they determine the characteristic or feature in our body. And specific sequences of nitrogenous bases, so in other words, the A's, the T's, the C's, and the G's, they form a different pattern. And in the gene, that pattern or alphabet or order, that's what determines what the characteristic is that that gene is coding for. And each gene actually gives information on one bit of your body. So for example, eye color. So the sequence of the bases in the gene might determine whether the code is for blue eyes or brown eyes. And it does that by giving instructions to make a different protein. So what is a chromosome? Well, chromosomes are actually where the DNA is tightly coiled so that they can fit inside the nucleus in our cells, in our bodies, because DNA is actually 2.2 meters long. And we need to organize that in a way where all the DNA that's needed, all those instructions, can be accessed easily. You can't just screw it up into a ball, you have to organize it. So chromosomes are tightly coiled pieces of DNA, and each chromosome itself is only one single strand of DNA twisted tightly on itself. And because they're made up of just one strand, each of the chromosomes actually has many genes on it, in a row, one after the other. And a human cell has actually 46 chromosomes. All of those have many different genes on them. And those 46 chromosomes are organized into pairs. So there are 23 pairs. And the pairs are made up of one chromosome from mum and one from dad. And that similar size chromosome with similar coding on each one, so the same gene on each chromosome, they actually line up in pairs. So we've got one chromosome from mum originally and one from dad. And in this picture down here, which is called a karyotype, so in this picture down here, you can see that you've got pairs. We've got 22 pairs of chromosomes plus either an XY pair or an XX pair, which would then determine the gender as being either male if it's XY or female if it's XX.